Hey everyone, in this episode I'm going to do a demo on TIG welding stainless steel and how to get colors. What's up everyone, welcome to another episode from Pacific Arc TIG Welding. My name's Dusty. To all the arc heads who watch the show every week, what's up? Welcome back, I appreciate you as always. And to anybody that may be new to the channel, make sure you bounce back and check out the previous episodes I have on my channel as well. One of my favorite things to do on this channel is TIG welding art. I do 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional art pieces where I basically try and break as many rules of TIG welding as possible and go through all the schooling and stuff that I've learned to do cool tricks in making art pieces. As well as art pieces on this channel, we also do TIG welding how-tos, where we do how-tos on specific weld joints and weld tricks, as well as gear breakdowns and tutorials on how to use different torch setups and different things like that. All things TIG weld related. So if you dig what you see, I would really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, and most importantly, share what you see on this channel. I really appreciate that. So for today's episode, I always read in the comments, especially after I put out an art piece. One of the most common questions I get is, how do you get the crazy colors with your TIG welding? So in today's episode, I'm gonna break down what I do to achieve this look. And again, that being the key word. A lot of people have different opinions and different setups. This is just the way I do it. But first, let's go over what we do not want to achieve with this exercise. What we don't want to see is any gray or sooty or chalky. Basically, what this means is these welds have become overly oxidized. That's what we do not want today. Basically, over-oxidization or too much oxide formed on a weld after you finish a weld is basically a combination of a couple things. Combination usually between overheating, too much heat on your workpiece, as well as inadequate gas coverage. So a couple tips that can usually rectify these problems if you're getting a lot of ashy looking or chalk or sooty looking stainless welds, which are obviously not very nice looking and not very shiny. There's a couple things I focus on. I focus one thing on not going too slow. So with my art pieces, obviously I'll show a couple clips again. These are just some roll clips of kind of in between a welding project right now. So these passes take a very long time to do. Now when I'm doing these passes, if I tend to hang out in the same area for too long, obviously this is very easily gonna overheat the weld. So with these passes, I wanna make sure I'm not going too slow. I wanna move a little bit quicker, obviously not too quick because I want the puddle to set down nice and even and wet in properly. But if I go too slow, it's gonna form that oxide, which we do not want. As you move along a weld pass a little quicker, you're gonna tend to have less heat, which is gonna allow for the weld to become more shiny, which is good. And also if you find that sweet spot with your speed, you're gonna get those cool colors. So another thing I do that really helps out with my technique to get some really cool colors is something I call the foot pump technique. Max from 5th Street Fab, shout out to you Max, what's up? Calls this the pedal bump, foot pump, whatever you wanna call it. They're both basically the same thing. And again, it's basically where I'm just using my pedal with my foot to just pump instead of just holding a straight arc on. This is gonna cause a little, kind of like a pulse effect where you're gonna have little cold pockets. It's gonna keep your material a little bit cooler. I did an episode on this. It's called Do I Use Pulse? I'll put that link in the description below. So make sure you check out that one if you're interested in that one specifically. That's a pretty technique-based video. We get into a little bit more of the nitpicky stuff on how I achieve this effect. So if you're interested, check out that in the description below. Now the other main reason that I mentioned that welds can become overly oxidized is inadequate gas coverage. So there's a couple ways that this can happen. Something to do with your setup where you haven't set up your gas lens and your gas flow properly. That's probably the most common one that I see. Another one is bad torch angle. If we have a torch angle that is too steep, a lot of the time what can happen is if the torch angle is too steep, you're not going to get any trailing gas. So the trailing gas, what I mean by that is gas that's going to travel behind your arc. Even though you've just moved away from the weld, you still want to have some gas flow traveling to the area that you've basically just come off of. If you have too steep of a travel angle, you're not going to have any trailing gas. Your gas is going to be all pushed ahead of you. So basically all that gas that you spent a lot of money on, or someone else has if it's your boss paying for that, is going to be wasted. It's going to be blown ahead and you're not going to actually affect any of the weld that you've just done. And probably the most important thing that I see that causes over-oxidization on welds is improper post-flow. So post-flow, for anybody that does not know, we set it up on the machine settings and we'll go over that in a second here. It's the amount of time that the gas comes out of your cup, out of your torch, after you've extinguished your arc. So we can be welding along and we'll finish our weld. Even though the weld is now off, it's extinguished, we want to make sure that we keep the torch there because the post flow is still releasing gas. So we want to keep this gas over the weld area, especially that area that is super hot that we just finished, because it's going to prevent that oxide from forming. If you are running your weld and you finish and then remove your torch right away, boom, that oxide is going to form immediately. It's going to happen immediately. And then, yeah, you're going to have a weld that's super oxidized right away. So make sure that you set your post flow long enough. Again, it's very situational. I won't give you a number as far as how many seconds it is. I usually shoot for anywhere between 5 to 7 seconds, but again, I've timed it with a stopwatch. The machine settings are not exactly 5 to 7, so it's very situational. You need to pay attention to how long your weld is generally glowing for. If it's glowing red hot, it needs to be covered with gas. I usually wait for it to stop glowing red, and then I give it an extra 5 seconds or so. And again, it depends what I'm doing. The settings may be slightly different, but again, experiment. I usually shoot for too much gas coverage and then I'll dial it back to save a few bucks when I'm doing an art piece. So as mentioned before, the prevention of oxide, we're talking about over-oxidization. Over-oxidization is what's gonna give you that gray, black, or sooty look to your weld. Color itself, here's the important part, here's the disclaimer of what I'm about to say to get me out of trouble with a lot of people. Color is an oxide. There are many job circumstances that will call for no oxide to form on a weld. So an oxide-free weld, I'll show a couple on screen right now, they're typically gold or straw color. So a gold or straw color means that the material has cooled at a proper rate, it has had adequate gas coverage, so there is no oxide formed on the surface. Again, everything I do in this shop here, all of my art pieces, I'm working on a crazy art piece right now, and I want as much oxide as possible, so as much color as possible. That's my preference. That's just what I do here, and I do it for fun. So again, I will not speak to specific job requirements and stuff, but that's my little disclaimer. Color is an oxide, so you need to make sure if you're doing this for an actual job, what the job requirements are, and pay attention to those instructions. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up our machine right now. I have some stainless plate here. It's all prepped up and clean. I have some stainless TIG rod. I'm gonna show you a quick torch setup and then we'll get into it. We'll just play around and try and get some cool colors. Okay, so let's get the machine going here. Today we're gonna use the CanaWeld 201 Pulse D. This machine's dope, I love it. It's super simple, very easy to use. I got a link in the description below, a full review and breakdown on this machine, so check it out. Let's turn it on. Wake up. There we go, we'll just wait for the fan to turn off. There we go, nice and quiet. Again, we will run through settings real quick of what I'm using here on this machine, but very, very simple. You're not gonna see a lot of flashy settings with me here. We're running DC negative, direct current negative. What we're gonna do for amperage, I probably will turn this down. We're just gonna goof around a little bit. So let's probably set it at somewhere about 100 amps. I'm using the foot pedal so I can goof around with that as I go. Zero downslope. We got about, let's turn that up a little bit. Let's turn that up to about 6 seconds of post flow. Zero upslope. There we go, so no pulse, nothing fancy. I did add a CK torch to this machine, which is a really, really nice torch. I'll put a link in the description as well to their stuff. But yeah, that's it. Let's check out what I'm using for a torch setup. Okay, so for a torch setup here, as I said, this is a CK Worldwide 9 style torch. I freaking love this torch. It's the flex head model. It's very, very simple. It's the gas cooled or air cooled, whatever you want to call it. Very, very nice stuff. CK, you make great stuff if you're watching. So I'll take out this little adapter here for the cup. I'll put it together and show you how it all works. But basically what we're using is a 332 gas lens and collet setup inside. I prefer the wedge style collets. These are my favorite. And then a simple gas screen for the 9 style torches. And the green tungsten there is what I'm using. It's the CK Worldwide laser tungstens. These tungstens are really, really nice. So if you're doing any extensive, really flashy stainless TIG, I definitely recommend the laser tungstens. The laser tungstens are very, very nice. Just tighten that up slightly there. I'm using a Shea Spec back cap. Shout out to Shea Spec. That stuff is super nice as well. But I'm gonna show you something real cool. So I got sent this kit from Edge Welding Supply. Edge Welding makes amazing cups. They send you this little adapter with every kit that you buy. It's a little piece of aluminum with 2 O-rings on there. It screws onto any existing, or for the most part, existing gas lens type setups you'll use. And then what it does is you can pick whatever cup size you'd like and you just slide it on like so. And then you set your tungsten and you're ready to rock. So it's a very, very nice setup. It's nice that you can switch between something as small as a 7 here, to something as big as a 15, again from Edge. So check out everything from Edge Welding. Their stuff is super cool. Look at that monster. That thing's huge. Yeah, you'll be able to TIG weld all kinds of stuff with that. So what we're gonna do here is we're basically gonna try out a couple different cup sizes. We're gonna keep our settings remotely the same. At the moment, I am set up at 20 CFH on my working pressure out of my regulator. What we'll do is we'll start out with a bigger style cup. So like I just had here, we'll start with the 15. We'll just run a couple passes. For the most part, with a bigger style cup like so, what's gonna happen is you're gonna tend to get way better and general gas coverage. So your gas is probably gonna have very little oxidization or colors build up on it. So we'll start with the 15 here and we'll take a look at how it goes. Okay, so we got our piece of stainless steel here. This is about 3/16 of an inch thick. The stainless steel has been prepped and cleaned with acetone as well as my filler rod. Then the filler rod I'm using is 316 stainless steel and it's 1/16 thick. Okay, so as I said, we're gonna start with the number 15 cup. I run not a lot of stick out actually. I like to have my tungstens in a little further. But yeah, we're just gonna set down to it. We're just gonna play around and run a couple passes. Let's see how they turn out. Here we go, let's do it. Give it a sec to sink in. Lots of post flow. Give it all the post flow it needs. There we go. All right, there we go. Who likes gold? That is a gold weld right there. That weld sat down pretty nice. As you can see, for the most part, it's pretty much oxide free. Again, we had lots of gas coverage going all over that one, and that one wetted down really nice. So there you go. Just a short little weld, but that was an example of a well-covered pass, so you're not going to get any oxide forming on that for the most part. So let's switch cups here, and we'll try a different pass and see if we can get some different colors. Switch this monster off here. Ooh, that's warm. Let's just go all the way down to a 7. Just kind of switch it up here in a drastic sense. Again, I'm going to push my stick out in a little bit further. There we go. So we got about stick out here equal to the orifice of the cup approximately. So this is a number 7 cup from Edge. And let's give her a whirl, see how it goes. Okay, so let's run this pass just next to this other one here. Same settings, same gas, everything. We're just gonna run, what I'll do is a little bit less filler rod on the plate, and we'll run a little bit slower so we can cook it up and try and get some colors. Go. So I removed the post flow a little quicker on that one, and we did get a little bit of color. Let's have a look at it. Okay, so there we go. We're on that purple now. Yeah, here we go. So we got a little bit of oxide forming on there. It was heated up a little bit more. The weld itself was not as good as the first one. I kind of sucked on that one, reaching around the camera at the same time, a little tricky, but we'll run a couple more passes. Let's try and get some blues, and we'll see where we go from there. So I'm going to remove the post flow quicker. Here we go. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Let's look at that. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting some colors. So you can check it out now. We got some blues. We got a little bit of purple. It's looking pretty good. So compared to our first one, look at the color difference as we start to let our plate heat up a little bit to where we get that sweet spot where we get the colors. One way you can tell that the plate is heating up a little bit more is take a look at our heat affected zone here. So our heat affected zone is this line right here. So you can see our heat is starting to creep out a little bit further. as opposed to our first pass. Our heat affected zone was in nice and tight because of the cooling action of the gas and everything. Kept everything nice and tight as far as our heat. Now, because I'm traveling a little bit slower, I'm adding a little bit less filler rod to the equation. We're going to let this heat affected zone creep out a little bit further, and as that happens, because we're using a smaller cup, we're moving away from it and it is building up an oxide behind us. So that's why we're starting to get these dope colors now. So we got some good colors there. To be totally honest, I just want to run some beads. This is like therapy to me. So let's just run a couple more beads. We'll see if we can get some more cool colors, and we'll take a look at it after. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to run a little steeper of a travel angle, give it a little less trailing gas. And when I get to the end, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull the post flow away a little bit quicker, and then we'll see if we can just give it a little bit of extra color. But here we go. Okay, gonna pull it away. Oh yeah, we got crazy colors on that one. Try and fit one more on the plate here. This is really awkward. I'm reaching around a camera and a tripod at the same time. But here we go. We'll get another crazy color one on the end. This one's hot. All right, let's see. Can we get one more on here? Let's get a couple more over here. What do you think? One more? Because we got room? Let's do one more. There we go. All right, let's take a look at what we just did there. We got some cool colors. I'm happy with this. Okay, this plate is warm, but take a look at our colors. We got some really cool colors there. So basically the only thing that really pisses me off on this one that I did was a little bit too close to the edge. This was super hot. As you can see, our heat affected zone leapt off the plate. It went all the way over to the edge and went, see ya, and jumped off into oblivion. So that's how hot this guy was. So it didn't really color up too much. We did manage to keep it from getting overly oxidized, but I think these other ones are better examples of the kind of color I usually look for when doing an art piece. So again, these two here, we got really moderate kind of color coverage to start with. This is our original one where you reuse the number 15 cup with very little oxide on it. This one is when we switched and the plate was cold at that point because I was talking so much in between the two. We got a little bit of oxide, but then we really got going as we let it heat up a little bit more and started to get some true color going on there. As you can see, our next pass was these two here. Obviously this one overheated and kind of looks like crap, but this one here turned out pretty nice. Again, we got nice blues. And as we moved into the last couple passes here where our plate was super duper hot, we got a really wide heat affected zone. I was adding a little more fill on these ones because I knew it was heating up quite a bit. but we still managed to keep it cool enough that we did not over oxidize, and we got some cool colors out of it. So the welds aren't totally nice. It's kind of, I don't know, it's just freestyling here a little bit, but that's all right. We had fun. There's a good example of some candy colored welds. Yum, 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 yum. All right, friends, there we go. We did it. We goofed around. We got some cool colors. General idea of basically how you can use the same settings on your machine, same gas settings. Again, we didn't change anything between those different ones. We just changed the cup. We changed a little bit of torch angle and stuff like that. And we just goofed around, had some fun. We got some cool colors out of it. So I hope you learned something. Again, tag me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is right there on the screen. Please follow me if you don't already. Say what's up. I like talking to people on there. You can comment below. I tend not to get around to responding to all those comments because the YouTube comments come a little bit too fast and furious. I can't always keep up with them. And I usually take weekends off from comments. So if you want to get a hold of me, hit me up on Instagram through direct message. Show me your work. I want to see how everybody does goofing around with this. This is a fun one. I know a lot of you out there have hit me up for tips on doing TIG welding art. So please, Destructive Asylum, you're out there. I know you are. Derek Cohey Welding, what's up, dude? I know you're all out there. Hit me up. Show me how you guys do with goofing around with a couple of these little tips and tricks. But again, this was just a fun one for me. I really enjoy doing these fun ones. As everybody knows in this channel, I am all about having fun. It's pretty chill in this little welding studio here. I'm all about positivity, and at the end of every episode, I encourage people to go and do a random act of kindness for a stranger. So whether that's helping someone change a tire, helping an old lady across the street, or writing something super nice on someone's Instagram profile you've never met before. Just do something nice in the name of kindness and positivity. We need more positivity in the world right now. So it's a challenge to everybody at the end of every episode I do now. So be sure to do that. Also, if you haven't already, like I said, follow me on Instagram. Go to my website. My website is right there. I have all the information. I help people learn how to TIG weld online. I do an online training program. It's a series of video lessons where I take someone from zero experience with aluminum TIG welding all the way to basic comprehension of machine setup, and we get into some pretty tricky weld joints, and we get into basically the fundamentals of TIG welding. So if you're keen to learn, hit me up. Right now I'm offering a bit of a deal where I'm going to help people out one-on-one as well as the video lessons. So go to the website, all the information is on there about it, and you can get in touch with me, and we'll see where you're at, and we'll go from there. As well, on my website, I have a TIG welding blog. I blog about TIG welding. I should update a little bit more, but I do update, as well as an image gallery for all the artwork I do. So again, head to my website, check it out, hit me up on Instagram, say what's up, and do something nice for a stranger. I appreciate everybody watching so much. Thank you very much. I hope you have a good one. Peace.